Okay, it's 8/6/2016. It is 6:32 p.m. and as you can tell, it's rather warm still yet, based on the condition of my t-shirt here. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the idea of the flat Earth theory. And usually when people ask me about that, I just come up with one word. I go, it's going to be offensive. This one word will be offensive. It's the S word. Stupid. Because I just don't see it as being relevant to anything in respect to who we are. What do I mean by that? Come on, Randy, what the hell do you mean, man? Well, here's what I mean. We're co-creators. We're immortal spiritual beings. We're occupying a space within this density reality, within a coexistence of this particular vessel, which is a genetic, organic interface to this density reality, which in itself is of its own sentience, and therefore we're having a collective symbiotic relationship in the process, which creates this sense of ego that we find with these particular vessels within this emotional body that we're in. But the reason why we're experiencing this is to perpetuate creation. There is no other reason for it. It is dramatic. It has a phenomenon aspect to it based on the idea that when we come into this vessel, we have no memory of our pre-existence. Is this a planet by which has been manipulated for amnesia and for imprisonment in order to serve other beings? This is true too. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. For one of the reasons why individuals capitalize or intellectualize, as it would be, on the idea of this being a flat Earth, being manipulated for the purpose in order to pull the wool over its occupants' eyes. Well, there's a great deal of other things that are extremely much more important than the idea of that. But I understand the reason for it. Now, do I subscribe to the idea that this is a flat dome, environment? Not any more than I do as if it was a flat Earth dome environment attached to the back of a flying sea turtle that finds its way around within the construct of this particular universal construct. That would be much cooler. In fact, I'd sign up for that one. But I don't see that as being what's going on here. I don't see the idea that NASA is covering up everything. They're not. They're only covering up one particular thing. Let me emphasize this. NASA is only covering up one particular thing, not because they have all the information. They don't. No. The military-industrial complex has way much more information than they do. Although they're connected to that, it's compartmentalized. Okay? What NASA has, and what they've been covering up, is which is the primary criteria to cover things up in order to maintain this status quo as it would be. And what is that? What status quo is that, Randy? Well, from my perspective and understanding, simply is this. We as immortal spiritual beings are co-creators. Everything that you see, everything that you experience is a collective arrangement of those co-creators in order for it to be. In order to maintain that consistency, there has to be an agreement in order for that energy to flow into it so it continues to be that way. In other words, it's vibrational. This is a construct, this universal construct is one of vibration. Different aspects of frequency, so in order to maintain this particular frequency or state of being, there has to be a certain consciousness state. So the idea of covering up is so to maintain that particular state of vibration in order for everything to be status quo and continue within this state of reality as we know it. Everything else is insignificant. to that. That is what most people don't seem to grasp. Okay, so far as the flat earth thing, it's just an intellectual exercise. It's getting caught up in the phenomena of what is occurring and what's taking place, possibly, and just going outside of oneself to try to find answers. There is no answers to be found outside of yourself. There's only ways of entertaining yourself. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm sure you do. Simply going within, which is not all that simple because we're taught to go without. Go without everything and go out without to try to find validation for self and identity of self. So if you go within self, you start to understand. It takes a while because it's not something you've been accustomed to because, again, you're detached from the sense of your immortality. You're detached from your pre-existence. It's there. It's all found within heart energy, okay, which is the conduit to your soul's path, a relationship to the sojourn within this universal construct. When you reconnect to that and begin that process, that's when you begin to awaken to who you are. You don't ever awaken totality within completeness, all right, within totality. If you do, then you're no longer here. Because you have so much of the energy of who you are occupying the same space, it transforms the very vessel that you're in. There's only a fragment or just a spark within this one. You as an immortal spiritual being is not in one place at one time. You're in several different places. Let's look at the idea of, okay, what's been the main proverbial pulling over the wool of the eyes of the immortal spiritual being here as a captive, because it's pretty much was what's been going on in order to maintain status quo, as mentioned previously. Well, you as an immortal spiritual being, like a body of water, can be distributed within several different locations at the same time. Now, if you take a glass and you pull some water from an eyedropper and you place it across the room, is that water any less than what it was in the glass? Is it not any less the part of what it was within the glass? Is it not the water? Same as you. Are you not who you are? You're distributed throughout this universal construct. That is the nature of what you are as an immortal spiritual being. Keep that in mind, because this is what's significant. Not chasing the phenomenon. Ooh, this has been done. This conspiracy here. Ooh, that's just making you chase your tail. You ever seen a dog when it's running around in circles chasing its tail? It's like it's like very entertaining for them to do that. And then they grab a hold of their tail and they go, the game's over. Many people, beings, within this incarnation, within these vessels, can spend their whole lifetime intellectually chasing their tail. And then, perhaps, at the very end of their life, maybe they catch their tail. And they go, wow, that was a waste of time. It was entertaining, perhaps, at the moment, within the time frame. But is it relevant to who you are in respect to what your intention is or was prior to this particular incarnation, as an example? Usually not. So, anyhow, flat Earth. No. It's irrelevant for one. For the other, it's like you have to disregard and say everybody's lying. You have to say NASA's lying about everything. And like I said, there's only one thing that they're concerned about, and because it's like, their preeminent order across the board. It's like, can't let you know that you're an immortal spiritual being, and the consciousness of who you are and what we are collectively is what makes things happen and how it changes things. Because if we all agreed on one particular thing, everything would shift and change. They have to let you think that you are the body that you reside in. They don't care if you know about all the other shit. They care less. It's not important. And even for those that are in NASA that know very little, which they know very little, the ones that have direct contact with particular, let's, for lack of terms, let's just use the word ETs, that have certain agendas in mind, that have been trading information and technology in order to keep people in check so they can maintain their persona, their identity within this particular framework in respect to this density reality or the experience that they're having within that. In order to maintain that personality and that persona, they have to keep things a certain way. So this has been going on and on for a very, very, very long time if you want to look at it from the idea of linear time. So those are the ones that are mainly that have been influencing things. It goes into the God matrix aspect of it too. There is more things to be concerned about in respect to who you are as an immortal spirit and your sovereignty than the idea of some theory of this earth being flat. It's just nonsense. Okay? It doesn't matter. When you start to understand that, of who you really are, you'll see how foolish all that is. No offense for those that chase that, but for me, it doesn't really... The closer you get to the end of the, tick-tock, the closer this thing gets to the place of expiration, the more you understand this. And when you're young, you think, because you're an immortal spirit and you're in a young body, you think, you got it all figured out, and you're so judgmental, And so a lot of people are going to take offense to what I'm saying. I don't really care. You have your time. You'll figure it out. Hopefully it sticks with you. You'll get it one way or the other in this lifetime or whatever. So flat Earth, yeah, nonsense. But sign me up for when the turtle comes along, because that sounds like an interesting ride to me.